Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. For friends who enjoy watching Chinese historical dramas, you must be quite interested in the royal robes worn by ancient emperors, such as the Imperial robes or dragon robes. The luxurious ochre-colored fabric, embroidered with golden dragons, gives an imposing and unforgettable impression. However, many people may not know that the material of the imperial robes is actually very special, which is why they cannot be washed with water like ordinary clothes. This is also why ancient emperors could not casually clean their robes. So, the question arises, if the dragon robe gets dirty or starts to smell after prolonged use, what should be done? These issues are definitely worth exploring. According to historians, in the highly stratified ancient society, there were strict regulations on the clothing worn by people of different social statuses, with clear distinctions in terms of fabric, patterns, and colors. As the supreme ruler of the world, the emperor's clothing was naturally the most unique and luxurious. Firstly, the emperor's dragon robe had to be embroidered with golden dragons, and the number of dragons had to be 9. Symbolizing the 9-5 supremacy, which represented the emperor's highest and supreme status. In addition, there were very strict requirements for the lines of the dragon, the symbols, and the colors, with almost every detail being crucial. This was undoubtedly a huge challenge for the artisans. During the Ming and Qing dynasties, special institutions were responsible for making the emperor's dragon robes, mainly concentrated in places like Nanjing and Hangzhou. In the Qing dynasty, these institutions were large-scale, with even over 2,000 people involved. To make one dragon robe, a large number of workers were required. According to historical records, making a dragon robe involved over 600 skilled embroiderers, nearly 300 workers, and dozens of painters working together. As for the cost of making a dragon robe, it was staggering, amounting to over 6,000 taels of silver. Converting that to modern purchasing power, it would be equivalent to over $300,000. Compared to some high-end bespoke garments today, it was no less luxurious, and arguably even more so. The primary material for the dragon robe was silk, and it had to be of the highest quality. This silk not only had a soft texture and brilliant luster but also reflected the emperor's noble status. Moreover, the silk thread used for the embroidery had to be top-grade silk from silkworms. Only the finest silkworm silk could show off the exquisite beauty and grandeur of the dragon robe. For example, during the reign of Emperor Wen of the Sui dynasty, the finest Jili Lake silk was used, a fabric prized for its superior texture and bright color. In addition to silk and silk threads, there were many other precious embellishments in the making of the dragon robe. For instance, the shoulders of the robe were often decorated with the feathers of rare and exotic animals, the most common being peacock feathers, which not only added to its beauty but also highlighted the emperor's noble status and authority. Of course, jewelry and precious stones were essential decorations on the dragon robe. Many dragon robes were adorned with gems such as coral beads, woven gold, and jade bamboo. These treasures not only enhanced the robe's luxurious feel but also symbolized the emperor's unmatched power and wealth. Regarding the process of making a dragon robe, in ancient times, anything related to the emperor underwent strict review and oversight, and the production of the dragon robe was no exception. The entire production process was divided into several stages, each step being meticulously controlled, until a perfect dragon robe was completed. Firstly, the Ministry of Rites, responsible for the rituals and music system, would determine the design of the dragon robe according to regulations, and create a preliminary draft. Once the design was completed, it would be presented to the emperor for review. Only with the emperor's approval and consent would the design be sent to the Imperial Household Department. Next, the Imperial Household Department would send the design and related documents to the weaving bureaus in Nanjing, Hangzhou, and other places. Once the design was received, the weaving bureaus would begin their intensive preparations. From gathering workers, procuring materials, to the actual production, the entire process was large and complex. In fact, making a dragon robe was no less significant than constructing a small palace. According to statistics, making a beautiful dragon robe usually took 2 full years. Every detail had to be meticulously crafted, ensuring that each part reflected the emperor's noble status and royal grandeur. It is worth mentioning that the dragon robe should not be cleaned casually. In the first part of the article, we detailed the precious materials and intricate craftsmanship involved in making the dragon robe. These special factors are precisely what make it impossible to clean the dragon robe like any other ordinary garment, by simply tossing it into water. First, the primary materials used for the dragon robe are mostly silk or other types of silk fabrics. If these materials are placed in water and rubbed, the fabric can easily wrinkle or even shrink. As the dragon robe symbolizes the emperor's noble status, it would be unthinkable to have the emperor wearing a wrinkled robe. Secondly, the color of the dragon robe is typically dyed in ochre or bright yellow. Due to the limitations of ancient dyeing techniques, which were far less advanced than today's, washing the robe in water could cause the color to fade, severely compromising the robe's appearance and making it less dignified and luxurious. Moreover, the dragon robe is adorned with many intricate patterns, and the pigments used for these designs are mostly not waterproof. Washing with water could easily distort these patterns, ruining the overall effect of the robe, damaging its original beauty, and even affecting the integrity of the dragon motif. Additionally, the robe is embedded with numerous precious decorative materials, such as pearls and peacock feathers. Careless washing could easily result in the loss or damage of these valuable ornaments, greatly diminishing the value of the dragon robe. Beyond these physical factors, the cleaning of the dragon robe is also related to the emperor's personal image. In ancient times, many emperors cared deeply about their reputation, especially those who valued frugality. For these emperors, not washing the dragon robe became a symbol of their integrity. For example, an emperor of the Ming Dynasty deliberately patched his dragon robe to showcase his frugal character. But what happens when the dragon robe gets dirty? Firstly, after prolonged use, clothing inevitably develops odors, and the dragon robe is no exception. To solve this problem, the eunuchs responsible for managing the robes would use spices to treat the dragon robe. Following instructions, they would place the robe above the spices, allowing the fragrant mist to envelop the entire robe, masking any unpleasant odors and maintaining a subtle fragrance for some time. Once the odor dissipated, the eunuchs would gently wipe any stains on the robe with a cloth dipped in alcohol. This method cleans the stained areas without damaging the material, serving as a gentle form of maintenance. However, if the robe only has minor stains, this method would suffice. But if there is significant damage to the robe, it would be handed over to specialized craftsmen. These craftsmen would first carefully inspect the damage to determine its cause. Next, the craftsman would take fabric of the same type of silk, carefully sewing it to ensure the repair is seamless and invisible. If any jewels were lost from the robe, the craftsman would remake and reinstall them to restore the robe to its original state. Of course, if the damage to the dragon robe is too severe for even the craftsman to repair, the emperor would have no choice but to abandon it. The emperor would then order the Imperial Weaving Bureau to create a completely new robe identical to the damaged one. After all, money was not a concern for the emperor, and making a new robe was not a problem. As for those dragon robes that are too damaged to be repaired, they cannot be disposed of casually, because they were once worn by the emperor himself. Anyone who kept such a robe might be suspected of rebellion. Therefore, these unusable robes would eventually be burned. A dragon robe, which took thousands of craftsmen 2 years to make and was worth a fortune, would thus be reduced to ashes, a truly extravagant act. According to relevant historians, the ancient people were incredibly creative, daring to think and act, and they made something truly exceptional. It is precisely because of these complex procedures and the meticulous work of countless craftsmen that the dragon robe has been preserved until today, allowing us modern people to appreciate the masterpieces of artisans from hundreds or even thousands of years ago. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone, and see you in the next time.